welcome to another edition of The Chase with Jace. And with me, as always, is the former LSU quarterback, Marcus Randall. Marcus, it's been quite a minute since we had this.
It's been a minute, man.
Pleasure again.
Hey, look, season ended, man, and we back on the prowl, back on the road around here. Trying to officially wrap up the 2022 year and then moving on to 2023, which is coming fast upon us already.
And once again, I have to appreciate Andy and yourself for allowing me to get the opportunity to cover the LSU Tigers, a team, growing up watching, and first year as the LSU beat writer. So I really want to start off with talking about the 2022 year that Brian Kelly had for the LSU Tigers, leading the way. And first year, what can you say about, with last year, how it ended? I think they only had like 39 scholarship players at the end of last year, and to come in this situation and just take over. This was a team, like SEC Media Days, I can remember they were projected like 5th or 6th at like the bottom of the division.
Correct.
And then they turn out to win the SEC West this year. They defeat Alabama. They win 10 games. It's incredible what they did. And just looking back at it and have a chance to really go back and take everything in.
Right.
How do you think Brian Kelly really did in his first year at LSU?
Man, he did awesome. He did an awesome job. He came in and savaged a program that looked like it was going to take a 2-3 year time to really get turned around from the way how you how he ended the season before with only 39 scholarship guys coming off. Some seasons. After that national championship 19, where we had some seasons that were kind of down. And have a guy come in as late as he came in and have to do all the things he had to do of finding guys, getting guys ready, putting his culture in, and structuring some of those things, and to be able to see what he did in 1 year was awesome.
Yeah, it really was. And it shows you that if this is going to be, a lot of people say, this could be Brian Kelly's worst team in LSU. If a 10-win SEC West champion that beat Alabama team that can be his worst team at LSU.
Correct.
Boy, the SEC is watch out for LSU.
We're in for a treat, and I think that's where it's headed, and that's what it looked like, and the things they did, since the season ended, and in the recruiting trail, seeing those guys have so many guys signed at the early period, and then have some of those guys already on campus now is saying that he's definitely moving in the right direction still at this point.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit recap of last year. We didn't get a chance to talk about it, but on our website, you can go to GridironFootballUSA.com. I did this it was one of the first things I did ever since the bowl game we had. But I put a top 5 moments of the year for LSU and just ranked them. And you'll get your reaction too, see if you agree with this list or not. But I started off with the game that we didn't get a chance to talk about, and that was the Citrus Bowl. The bowl game at the end of the year. But that was, a lot of headlines about Drew Brees coming to help Purdue, to help Purdue, the Boilermakers, and the Citrus Bowl. LSU just coming off losing the SEC championship game, and LSU kind of ended the season on a little bit, of a low note because they lose the A&M, they lose the SEC championship game. So LSU really needed that win at the end of the year to boost morale, and get that positive momentum going back towards next season. They get that 10th win, and it was as dominating a fashion that you've seen when you have both quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier, coming in and doing their thing. Malik Neighbors, he put on the show too in that game. He had over 100 yards receiving. He actually threw a touchdown pass, also some trickery and everything. Had 163 yards receiving. The offense was really good. Noah Kane, John Emery had a couple more touchdowns in the game. The defense was phenomenal. Greg Brooks, Jar Bernard Converse, and even Frank Wilson's son, Quad Wilson, had a 99-yard interception return for a touchdown. So things are going well for LSU. And that was actually the second most lopsided bowl win of the bowl season by anybody. And the first happened to be Georgia in the national championship game. But that was my number 5 moment. 63-7 was the final score. Talk about a good way to end the season.
And watching that game, we came out hitting on all cylinders. You could see that both quarterbacks, like you said, played with a high level. They were efficient. Defense played lights out, and that's what you wanted to see coming off of the game from the SEC championship. Some of them might have been down just a little bit, but those guys had a great year, and to come back and bounce back and finish the way that they finished is going to be great momentum going into this offseason.
And that's as good as you want, right? I mean,
Right.
everybody's going to remember the last thing that you did. The last, that's what Coach Saban said, I believe. Is like, yep, you're as good. You're only as good as your last play. You're only as good as your last game, and that's as good as it gets for LSU Tigers right there.
As good as it gets.
Yep, it really does. Number 4 moment of the season had to have been LSU's win on the road against Florida. Just for a couple of reasons, in my opinion, I think that was a game that really turned the course of the season for LSU. Because at the time, at the beginning, the offense was struggling a little bit.
Right.
They're coming off the loss at home against Tennessee where they got blown out. They struggled on the road against Auburn, so they lost first game of the year against Florida State.
Right.
So it was at the beginning of the year. It was kind of rough, but I feel like that game on the road in the swamp. 2 coaches that are in their first year with the SEC team, because Brian Kelly and Billy Napier both first year at those prestigious schools. And what does LSU do? That was Jaden Daniels' game where he said, "I'm the guy. I'm the guy."
Sure. Like I said, I mean, he, in my opinion, he had some good games early on. I know it was some time where we thought they could have got rid of the ball a little bit more. And could have had a little bit more trust, I guess, for the offensive line. But all of that was new. He was a new guy in a new system with a new offensive line, new coaches. So, but as we saw him progress, and like you say, around that Florida game, after that Tennessee and that Florida game, we were like, okay, this is the guy. Now we see, why he is the guy. And he continued to show that throughout the rest of the year.
And it started a stretch of 3 games where Andy convinced me. Chase wrote an article about Jaden Daniels for the Heisman because he had that 3-game run.
Correct.
And that's what started.
The 3-game run along with the wins. I mean, that would make Heisman Trophy. If you putting up stats and you're getting W's, I mean, that's what it is.
He had 349 yards and 3 touchdown passes. He also ran for 3 more touchdowns in that game. So 6 touchdowns, and those were on 6 consecutive drives. So as a former quarterback and a quarterback guru yourself, that's as good as you want it to be.
That's it, yeah. I mean, you ending every possession with a kick, and not only just any kick, it's an extra point. So when you're doing that, man, you definitely moving in the right directions, and everything's rolling.
So that was really big just for the morale of the team, and it really changed the course of the season for LSU to becoming a great season, what it was at the end of the season. The number 3 moment, this was LSU at home against Ole Miss. And Ole Miss was riding hot into Baton Rouge. They were undefeated. I believe they were a top 10 team, but they were number 7 ranked in the country.
Right.
And if LSU had any chance of competing for an SEC West title, they had to beat Ole Miss in order to get in that running. But early on, it was kind of what we saw from early LSU. Like, it was a slow start. They were down 17-3, and then what carried on from the Florida game happened after that, and that's when Jaden Daniels again went off.
Caught a groove, and that offense started rolling, and after that, like you say, after being down at that 17-3 mark, and it was looking like, oh man, okay. But then seeing what they were able to do and how consistent that offense played for the rest of that game, throughout that game, and the defense for not only giving up 3 points after that, man, it was just, it showed that, like again, man, we were moving in the right direction, and we were becoming that, that championship style caliber team.
So LSU outscored Ole Miss 42-3 after that. It wasn't like they came back and won, and it was a good comeback victory. They dominated the rest of the way.
Correct.
It was pretty incredible seeing. And then Jaden Daniels, he completed like 21-28 for 248, and 2 touchdowns. But he had 121 yards rushing and 3 more touchdowns rushing. So that's what we knew Jaden Daniels can do coming into the year. And I think that was his best performance, him running the football and taking over the game with his feet. So that's what's good about dual threat quarterbacks, right?
If they can do it.
Something doesn't work.
Something ain't working, we got something else.
So that was a great victory too. The defense was phenomenal. Mekhi Wingo, who came from Missouri, had a dominant game, 7 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1.5 TFLs. So he was all over the place. I think the play that really changed the game was Joe Fouché had a one-handed interception when Ole Miss was driving, trying to regain the lead back after LSU stormed back. But the rest of the way, LSU didn't give up any points. And after that, LSU, the fans, they rushed the field after that.
Man, like the national championship. Again, another big win. I guess it was a even bigger for the fans. I guess because they were undefeated.
Right.
And we was rolling, and I think they felt that SEC championship vibe coming on at that point.
The number 2 moment of the season was actually LSU won the SEC West, and you're going to probably figure out what number 1 is. But the Arkansas game, it was one of those games. Jane Daniels was riding hot. I mean, he had that 3-game stretch. He actually had more touchdowns in those 3 games than he did the rest of the games combined. So he was really hot at this point, but he struggled. I mean, the offensive line struggled in pass protection. They gave up a lot of sacks, but Mr. Harold Perkins, I think, introduced himself to the whole world that game because he single-handedly won that game by himself. And I don't remember many defensive players, especially in this day of age, where you got the spreads and quarterbacks throwing the ball quickly, that defensive player taking over a game, and Harold Perkins did just that.
He was all over that quarterback, man. He was everywhere. In every kind of way he could have made an impact defensively, I think he did in that game, and he was all over. And I see a bright future, and we got him at least for 2 more years.
that's the scary part.
2 more years.
He has a chance to be an all-time great defensive player at LSU. It was a struggle win for LSU, but they found a way to take care of business, and they did. 13-10. Arkansas really had a good game plan for LSU's offense, but really it was those turnovers forced big plays by Harold Perkins. He actually ended the game with a sack. He had 4 sacks that football game. So in that defensive battle, LSU's defense, I mean, they came and played their best football of the season and helped LSU get that win, especially when the offense was definitely not having their day of success. And then LSU, after that win, they need a little help. It's weird hearing this, but a lot of LSU fans were pulling for Alabama because if they beat Ole Miss, if they defeated Ole Miss, LSU would win the SEC West, and that's what happened. Yep. So just for a day, I think LSU was cheering on
one day.
Crimson Tide. So that's number 2, and you can only imagine, Marcus, what do you thought was the number 1 moment of the year?
Alabama.
Yep.
Alabama.
It certainly was. LSU defeating
Tiger
Alabama.
Stadium. No better feeling right there. Winning it at the end too. Man, you know, those 2 big plays at the end. The one to Mason in the corner.
Right.
Yeah, the touchdown right for the end of the 4th. And then that 2-point conversion, man. It was the guts of Coach calling it, knowing he was going for the win no matter what. The execution was perfect. Everything matched up, and man, them the kind of games that you live to play for. You live to watch if you're a fan, and those are the ones you want to see.
That was a perfect play, just a 2-point conversion, just to describe how much Brian Kelly had confidence in his team. You go back in the first game of the year when they played Florida State. They had a chance, they went right down the field with Jane Daniels and Dre Jenkins caught a touchdown, and he thought they were a point away from tying or going for the win. Brian Kelly said, we're going to go for the tie and go to overtime, maybe because it's the first game with the guys and everything, maybe. Not sure what he really had. The extra point was blocked and he missed it. You fast forward to this point, and the biggest game of the year, a top 5 matchup with the SEC West title on the line. He goes for 2 in the win. So it shows you the improvement and just like the change of mindset Brian Kelly had on that call and actually making that play or decision to go for it.
Situation. Well, when you've already seen it once, and they say that would be insane to do the same thing twice, right? So man, you definitely had to go. You definitely had to go for the 2. I was still kind of shocked when they just did it because they did. It looked like they knew it the whole time. And he never second guessed himself. And when you have that go on, you have the confidence and just the play call. It was I mean, you had your guy that's hot, the quarterback that's playing at a high level, to get him out there on the edge to be able to have another run pass option. Pretty much like the one that he scored on, that he scored on from the 25-yard line. But to put him on the edge, now you make those guys, and they already know he could run it in.
Right.
So now you have to make you got to make a decision, and obviously, I just think the play call was perfect, right in the edge of the pylon, catch, game over.
Man, 31-30, and I think I remember texting it after. I was like, I'm not sure where this play is going to rank. Obviously, we talk a lot about the Bluegrass Miracle, but that play, when we talk about when we talk Daniels to Taylor, I already saw the Goring McKern commercial for it. They're still doing recreating that play and everything from that 2-point conversion. But that play is going to live in LSU lore for a lot of fans.
Yep. They said that it went off on the earthquake.
Yeah.
Yeah, another one of those. They say basically both of them back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those things. So great time to be in the fan. To be a fan when you know that that's the game a lot of people have circled on their calendar every year, and to be able to have it at home and to pull it off in the way how to pull it off, man, it was a great game, great atmosphere, and like you say, people gonna remember that one for a minute.
Yeah, great way to end the season. If that's any indication what the future is going to hold for LSU, it's going to be a bright future, that's for sure. And we'll talk a little bit about the future today because it's National Signing Day. So I'm not going to mention every single player, but we'll talk about some guys that really stick out. A lot of guys that I'm familiar with because I cover the state of Louisiana, and I'll go over some of those guys because a lot of those guys that signed with LSU either played on Marcus's team or played in the district that y'all played. So a lot of players that you're familiar with. And we have to start off with the quarterback position. And we know right now LSU's got Jaden Daniels and they got Garrett Nussmeier. And both look two really good options for LSU. But it's always good to get guys coming in, at least get like a quarterback per class because, with the position, it's always good to get some depth there.
Correct.
And Ricky Collins, which is somebody you're obviously familiar with, that's your player, your quarterback at Woodlawn. I know a lot of people are excited about having Ricky on board at LSU, but, why, talking to a lot of the LSU fans, how excited should they be getting Ricky Collins?
Oh, man, should be very. He's a guy that's played a lot of football. He's been a 4-year starter in high school in a tough 5A district and playoff. So he's seen it. He's been in those positions. So I think that now he's ready to take that next step, and I think he's gonna go in ready to go, ready to compete. And obviously, man, he got some other good guys that's in the room with him, along with a great coaching staff that's gonna take him to reaching the rest of his potential.
And it's always good to get some running backs as well, and and these guys are from Louisiana, so it always helps guys like Ricky, we can rely on the running game, and quarterback's best friend, right?
Yeah.
And you hand the ball off to some pretty good ones back in your day as well, so it's always good to get some guys to rock, and it's always good to get a guy like Trey Holly, who is the all-time leading rusher Louisiana high school football history. I talked to him a lot this past season, but to get a guy that like Nick Brissett, who had the all-time rushing record in Louisiana, now to get another guy, it's good to get the Louisiana all-time leading rusher to stay in your state and Louisiana to go to LSU. And then a guy that you're familiar with too, Caleb Jackson. I can remember my dad was at a track meet, and there was Le'Veon Moss from Estruma, who was a running back, and he outran Le'Veon Moss. And my dad asked me, "Who is that kid that outran him?" And it was like his Caleb Jackson from Liberty, and a guy that's like 230 pounds, 225 pounds that can run a 4.40. That's a pretty deadly combination there.
Pretty impressive, and like you said, that's another guy that played in my district. I had a chance to see him. He didn't play against us, but I had a chance to see him over the years play. And man, big, strong, physical guy that can run the football. He can run over you. He can run past you. He can run by you. I think he's going to have a great career up there, and may even have a chance to play a little early.
Yeah, and then also at wide receiver, LSU's pretty much getting known to be as wide receiver U, and it's. These wide receivers, a lot of them from Louisiana, and not only these are very talented in the local area, but nationally, they're like 5 stars and some of the top in the country, like Shelton Sampson
Correct.
from Catholic
Yep.
that you're familiar with
Another
too,
guy
playing in the district.
I've been seeing for 4 years. Another guy I've been seeing for 4 years, man. He got a very good upside, can fly, length on him. I mean, he's a tall, rangy guy. He can go up and high point the football. I mean, again, you can't miss him. I mean, big target, and I think he fits the mold of a lot of those other wide receivers that we have in that room. So I mean, he's going to fit in, and I think that we just got another nugget right there.
Yeah, and y'all played St. James as well this year, and Kai Prean also signed with LSU, so he's another guy that can make a lot of plays. And they signed a lot of receivers. They got a 5-star from Ford and Jalen Brown, and they got a player from Texas, Allen, Texas, Kyle Parker, who.
Yeah, I know Kyle Parker too as well, man.
Yeah.
He's actually his family is good friends with one of my best friends, Corey Webster.
Okay.
So they came from that Dallas area out there, and Lovejoy, man, and I've seen this kid, and he's going to be another great addition to our football team.
Yeah, he put up some numbers too. I mean, he put up some crazy numbers at Lovejoy High School in Allen, Texas. And then tight end position wide for LSU, Brian Kelly loves a tight end,
Yep.
and you saw that this year with Mason Taylor. And just look at his past history, Michael Mayer at Notre Dame, and then all these Notre Dame tight ends. Travis Kelce, at Cincinnati. So he's going to love the tight end. He signed a couple tight ends. Mac Markway, Jackson McGowan is another tight end. And these guys are Cameron Pimpton is from Texas as well. They signed about 3 tight ends, so know that's going to be a focus of the offense.
Right, they plan on using.
Offensive line, a guy that is very confident is Lance Hurd from Neville High School. He mentioned to Brian Kelly that I'm going to be your left tackle next year, and Brian Kelly said, "Okay, I mean I love your confidence, but." We have Will Campbell left tackle.
That's a teammate,
yep, right? And he said, "Yeah, I know Will.
He said, I know him. Yeah.
I'm gonna be your left tackle next year."
Come on, man.
So I was like, "Okay."
With that kind of mentality, even though we're on the same team, I need that mentality because I don't want nobody getting comfortable over here, man. Everybody competing, that's gonna make us all better.
Yep. So there's a good chance that you may get 2 Neville teammates as your starting 2 tackles next year. So
or if he's that good, we gotta find a way to put them all 3 out there. Somebody moving the guard.
Yep. Right. The offensive line is in a really good position right now.
Yeah, somebody gotta move the guard, man. We gotta get him. If he's that good, we gotta get him on the field.
Yeah, they signed a couple more other linemen. Paul Mubenga, he's 6'4", 291. Obviously Lance Hurd, DJ Chester's another guy I heard that could possibly play. He's 3'15" now, 6'4", so he's definitely got the length. Tyree Adams is from St. Aug.
St. Aug, that's the guy. That's the guy I was thinking about just now, man. I saw him when I went up there for the BK Splash.
Okay.
At the BK Splash in the indoor, man. And I saw this guy, man. He's sitting tall. He looked like he might need to put on a little bit of weight. But I know that's not going to be a problem up there now. Now you're on that college regimen and you're getting those proteins and they feeding you right there in the calf. They're going to pack the pounds on him. So, but he's going to be another good athletic tackle for us down the road.
Yeah, he's got the frame and everything. He's got the athleticism. And with LSU and the nutrition program, the strength and conditioning, he's going to get where he needs to be. Yep. No doubt about that. Defensive line wise, they're losing some defensive linemen. I mean, obviously Ali Gay and BJ Ojulari kind of played that jack role, so that's going to be a main position to watch once we get to the summer.
Even Jaquay Leroy.
Yeah, Jaquay Leroy, inside guy.
Yeah, inside guy.
Yep. So the only guy that's coming back is Mekhi Wingo from Missouri, who came and had an outstanding year this year, but. Mason Smith too, gets off the injury.
He'll be coming back off that injury, ready to go. Because I know he had big, high hopes for this season, and ended up with that, unfortunate injury there at the Florida State game.
Right.
Really, a freak accident. Another guy that's on that D line that's coming from St. Amar is Dylan Carpenter.
Yeah, I was just about to mention Dylan Carpenter
coming on. That'll be another. I think that's going to give us more athleticism. He's more of a DN. Athletic. I saw him over the last 3 years when we played St. Amar. Real good guy that could play. That understands the game too as well.
Yep, and they signed a couple other ones, but yeah, Dylan Carper, he actually committed right after the Alabama game. So he was there, and I don't blame him. I would commit right after that too. Deshaun Womack is from Maryland, so that's an interesting get to get somebody from Maryland to go to LSU. They also have a couple other guys at defensive end as well. We mentioned Dylan Carpenter too. Jackson Howard is from Minnesota. He was actually the number one player in the whole state of Minnesota. So to get somebody from all the way up at the top of the country to come down here to the bottom of it, that's pretty impressive recruiting there that LSU did. And then they also got some guys. We'll talk a little bit when we wrap this up in the transfer portal at some key positions as well.
A lot of good D linemen that we went in there hard, and we needed them. You know, we got a lot of good young guys coming in. You still want to have that depth. You want to have some of that, older guys in them trenches, down in there. So going and get a couple of those guys definitely was needed for us to be able to be where we want to be next year.
One linebacker from the high school sign class, and it's actually Wes Weeks' brother. Wes Weeks is a linebacker at LSU.
Okay.
His little brother is going to join him, so he's going to play linebacker at LSU. And at cornerback, Ashton Stamps, I think he was the first actually commit of this class. He's from Rummel. He's a cornerback.
Okay.
So he committed to LSU early on. Javian Toviano was like a 4 or 5 star guy, really highly recruited guy from Texas that LSU did get as well. And then I forgot Paul Mubunga is an offensive lineman from earlier. Safety-wise, Colin Jackson from Zachary.
Right.
I remember seeing him when he was a sophomore and seeing him just laying people out, and I was like, "Who is this guy?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's Colin Jackson from Zachary," and he is a baller for the Broncos these past couple of years, and you got the chance to play against him a lot.
I had a chance to play against him a lot, even on the 7-on-7 circuit. Man.
Yeah,
I had a chance to see him.
Yep.
He was over there with F3. Those guys. Man, he did
Yep.
a great job over there, and then I obviously got a chance to see him in our ESPN game. He did last year,
Right.
Great player. I think our secondary is going to take a big jump up having him because with the size and speed and explosiveness that he brings to the table.
Yeah, they signed a couple other safeties. Michael Daugherty from Georgia. They signed Jeremiah Hughes as a cornerback. And yeah, they signed a lot of DBs, which they needed because they did lose a couple of DBs. Ryan Yates is also a safety from Denton, Texas. So those are all the guys we pretty much mentioned from the high school class. Now, LSU, the reason that they were so competitive this year and that they were right back where they wanted to be because they hit the jackpot in the transfer portal. And last year,
the jackpot.
Yeah, they did. That's
big. That's big, man. That's being able to go out there. Now, obviously, having the year that we had this year helped, but that also is a big test to our coaches and what they're doing. And coaching has, I don't know if you know, but coaching has gotten harder now by guys being able to leave. So you're asking about now you're asking coaches to be prepared for upcoming classes, 2024 classes and beyond, to be have your recruiting boards to be able to go out and see those guys and be able to build those guys up. But you also have to keep your other guys back at home while you're on the road. I done talked to many coaches saying, "Coach, I know we're on the road, but I'm having to keep checking back home to make sure all my guys back home still good.
Right.
They're not hitting the portal on us." So you have that going on, and then you're still dealing with the COVID, the guys that still left over from COVID, because you still have that. So you're still trying to manage your rosters around all those. Man, it's a difficult time right now being a college coach. I guess they're kind of trying to make them earn all that money that they're paying them.
Right. And everybody they want you to win now. They expect you to win now. And
Today.
That's why the transfer portal is so big. It's like, okay, we need a guy that can immediately come in here and compete, and not only compete, but be a guy for us. Right. LSU had to do that out of necessity last year because of their numbers. But this year, it's like, we're young here, we're lean here. Let's go out and get a couple defensive linemen, get a couple linebackers. It makes it quicker for a football team, to make a turnaround because of the portal. So it makes everything easier. They did sign, I think, I wrote an article about this too, that LSU came out a winner again in the transfer portal. Now, because they were a number 1 transfer portal class last year, and I think they're like number 1 again this year, number 1 or number 2. And some of the guys they got was needed. At cornerback, they got Denver Harris. He's a 5-star from A&M. That was one of those guys from A&M that made him the #1 recruiting class.
Right.
And he comes over here from Texas A&M. A guy that I called a lot of his games at Southeastern when I did play-by-play, Zy Alexander. He was a cornerback and All-American, and he was a ball hog. He was making one-hand interceptions, and I think he led the FCS in picks. So this is a ball-minded cornerback, FCS All-American. J.K. Johnson from Ohio State. Deuce Chestnut is a All-ACC guy from Syracuse. So you got 5 guys that not only are coming from really good programs, but they played a lot. So kind of like last year's secondary. Like Greg Brooks coming in, he played a lot from Arkansas. Fouché coming in, he played a lot at Arkansas. So you get guys like that coming in, it makes a difference in your secondary. So that's what they got. On the defensive line, we were talking about earlier, that this is a position of need that they needed to get. They got a player. You're going to laugh when you hear this name, but this defensive line, his name is Jordan Jefferson.
Come on, man.
They got a guy named Jordan Jefferson from West Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah, not the quarterback.
Right.
But I don't think there's any relation to the Jeffersons.
Probably not.
He's from West Virginia.
Yeah, not from West Virginia.
But he signed with LSU. Paris Shan, this is a guy that Game Northern was talking to me a lot about. That he saw him the other day when he visited LSU, and he was very impressed with him. So this is a guy that played a lot at Arizona.
Gotcha.
Jalen Lee from Live Oak, who's from Louisiana a couple years ago. And he actually committed to LSU with Ed Orgeron, and then late changed his mind to Florida, and he comes back here from Florida. He's coming on back.
I played against that guy.
Yep.
My first year at Woodlawn. That was his senior year, man. He was a load in there.
Whew, he was. He definitely was. And they got a couple other guys that can kind of play that B.J. Ojolari type of at-jack role, which they really need because of him going to the NFL. They got one from Oregon, Braden Swinson, and they got one from Texas, Ovi Ogufo from Texas as well. One of the bigger names that I'm most excited about, because I love seeing points, love seeing scoring, love seeing offense, Aaron Anderson from Ed the Car.
So that's gonna be a big one, man. Another one, man. Very explosive player. I know he went to Bama first, but man, glad to see him come on back home, and I know we could use him, man. He's gonna be a guy that we could use multiple different ways, man. In the slot, maybe some probably even coming out the backfield. I know on kicker it. He's electrifying. So we got a dude that's coming in.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of when I saw him play in the car. It reminded me a lot of Tyreek Hill, kind of short, kind of built, but explosive.
Explosive, fast.
Can leap out of the roof, He's going to be a guy that can answer a lot of those questions. LSU struggled to really find answers at punt return this year, and this could be a guy that can do that, that can fill that role for you quite nicely. And then another guy they got most recently, Omar Spates, and everybody's excited for him. He was like an all Pac-12 linebacker at Oregon State. He's like one of the program's all-time leading tacklers at Oregon State. And this was like a dude, and you pair him with Harold Perkins, so Spates and him, that could be a good.
About to go to another level.
Yeah, so that's gonna be a really good duo. So overall, talking about all this, I mean, the sign class, you get a lot of really good, a lot of talented high school guys that you saw, and you really can really attest to what they can do, because these are studs that are coming to LSU and staying at home too. So it's good that Brian Kelly is starting to build that fence around Louisiana again, while also getting other guys to come in at different positions of need. I feel like he used the transfer portal well, because some of the biggest question marks, like punt return, kick return, you possibly got one Aaron Anderson. Cornerback in the secondary, that was a big question. You got like 5 or 6 cornerbacks. Linebacker, you got Omar Spates. So defensive line, you got about 5 or 6 defensive linemen. So all of that's really good. And if they can just continue to get the right type of guys in, LSU might be even in better position than they were last year when they won 10 games.
Well, if you could see what if we saw what Coach Kelly did coming in with 39 scholarship players and
Yeah.
coming off of where we were then,
Mm-hmm.
we should see something just as good, if not better, now that he's had a year under his belt, had a chance to get some of his guys in and build some of his culture in there, and just build off the year that we just had.
Yeah, I mean, just keep on building, and you can get as many guys as you possibly can now. I know it used to be like sign 25 and you're done, but now
Right.
you can get more and more guys. As long as you hit the 85 scholarship limitation,
Right.
then you'll be good. So LSU will continue to get guys. They'll have another transfer portal window, I think, like in May.
In May,
So
right.
you get that, get guys coming out of the portal then.
So everybody be going through their spring, see where they land, see what they have going on. With the coaching changes, so you may see a couple more guys get into this thing,
Yeah.
or be gone.
Right, right.
One or
Because
the other.
the transfer portal it takes
works both ways.
It works
Yeah,
both ways.
it works both ways.
You can you gain it from it, and you can also they'll take it away from you. So
Correct.
that's just what the transfer portal works. Any final thoughts, Marcus, on just anything LSU related? Just I know we probably won't get to LSU until when spring starts up
Right.
again. But any just final thoughts on the season or just year number one of how the Brian Kelly era went?
Well, I think we kind of hit on everything. We've been doing this all season long, so I know we didn't hit on the good, the bad, and the uglies. Which we didn't have much of the uglies and bads this year.
Right.
So, man, we
Towards
had a lot
later
of
in
good.
the year, yeah.
So we had a lot of good to talk about this year. I'm excited about what the future holds. This year 1 of 10. That was on his contract.
Right, exactly.
So
exactly.
if this has any indication of what the future holds, man, it's bright, and I'm excited to be in the purple and gold.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And make sure you keep on, because I'm going to continue to post stuff on our website, so GridironFootballUSA.com. I try put like at least 2 or 3 articles a week about LSU, even during the off season. So we'll have a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. We're going to break down the signing class. We're going to talk about our top players from this past year. We'll do a countdown. I know you said the top 5 moments, but we'll have like a top 10 player countdown from this past year, top 10 players. And we'll have more coverage, especially when spring starts up again. But speaking of GridironFootballUSA.com, this past weekend we're at Woodlawn High School for really the RPA, really 7-on-7. I guess really kind of like the kickoff. I mean, to like the 7-on-7 season. Because everybody talks about football season being over when the Super Bowl is coming up pretty soon. That's pretty much like the official close of the 2022 season. But just because football season may be over, it is not really over. You still got football going on. We still have content, and we still have 7-on-7s, which is really a 7-on-7 type of season, really good for you, and really for the quarterbacks and receivers, because it's a good way for them to really connect, stay on the same page, and that really carries over unto the fall when you need these type of plays, we need these timing routes and big situations. They can go to something they did on 7-on-7. So all that's really important.
Yep, man. So like you say, this thing never really stops, man. When you come to the off season, you got the 7-on-7s going, and this is where a lot of those guys hone their skills. Especially wide receiver, DBs, and quarterbacks. Man, you get a chance to go through these reps now. You had a whole season of playing. Now you get to get on some of these teams, get involved in the passing game of football, and just start learning those schemes, learning those concepts just a little bit better, get just a little bit sharper on those skills, getting your anticipation skills up a little bit more, and then you're going to be seeing us move into spring ball, because that's right around the corner. It's February now, so most of these guys will be starting up end of February, beginning of March, and you'll see more football going on. So it never really just over with, especially when you're on the media side. You got stuff that you're writing about, things happening, portals opening and closing, new guys going around, man. Like you say, it's a lot of different avenues, a lot of different things going on. So it's a lot of news, and if you want to stay on top of your game or on top of your news and what's happening in football, man, you want to definitely stay tuned in, and we're gonna have it for you here, especially what's going on in this state.
Oh yeah, definitely. We have all kinds of stuff for you in Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama. We got all kinds of riders coming in and helping us out over the spring. So we got a lot of content there. I'm gonna post a lot of top 300 articles and Diamond the Roughs that Marcus and Broderick as well. Broderick on the assist on a lot of these, so we get a lot of these guys' names out there. And then we're coming off a very successful bowl game too, the Gridiron Football American Bowl game, and the game was very competitive. We had over 11,000 people watching it. It was a great game, first of all, and you get a play in the game that Samaje Hayes, of Vidalia receiver, who's playing receiver for the first time.
Right.
He makes you got Moss, and then so that was pretty cool. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So that was pretty cool seeing.
Yeah.
But really, it was a good way to end the season. And then just overall, last week, how you thought really, we had a lot of really good teams coming in, like the Jack Boys and Cream, and of course RPA, and the Grill Warfare, and we had a lot of really good teams this past week. What do you think of just really the first event outing for y'all? Because I know y'all trying to train for a lot of these national events too, but really off the first week, I'm sure some teams have practiced more than others, but just overall, just the quality of play. What do you thought of the event that went down in Woodlawn?
I thought a lot of teams got a lot of good work. Like you said, man, a lot of these teams have scheduled already to be going all over the country to playing 7-on-7. And definitely this was an opportunity for you to come out and compete. Being a great atmosphere, it gave us over here at Gridiron a chance to see a lot of the new guys that's going to be on the radar now after this 2023 class is now gone off to college and going off, on their careers. But so you had a chance to see some of these guys, a lot of these guys step up and play. And then when you talk to the coaches, this was a time for them to be able to, get their schemes to go in a competitive setting, because a lot of those guys haven't been to any major tournaments yet.
Right.
But they have those, those coming up here February, March, and April. So he had a chance to, for them to get some work in, for us to see them, and then be able to take everything they learned from there and be able to move on.
Yeah, and it's going to be really exciting too, because that was a good event. And actually, you can look at a lot of the action from that past event. We actually have it in a digital magazine, so you can go back at GridironFootballUSA.com. You can't miss it when you go to that website. It's the first thing that you'll see is at the top of the website. Andy did a great job of putting that magazine together. And it's just a lot of pictures, videos, a lot of different stuff from the event. So go back and check that out. GridironFootballUSA.com. You see all kind of pictures and all kind of stuff from the event. And then also, this show is probably going to be coming on. At the very latest Friday. So this is a perfect opportunity to let y'all know if you're watching the show and you have a kid that's between 7th or 12th grade. Well, our Gridiron Football Elite Camp Series is starting as well. And actually, the first one is going to be this weekend at Woodlawn. So if you're a quarterback, you get a chance to take some notes and learn under tutelage of Marcus Randall here, former LSU quarterback. I know we have Ron Brooks helping out, former LSU DB. Drake Nevis said that he was going to help out as well. So we're going to have a lot of guys helping us out, and you get to learn from some really big names as well. So it's also an opportunity to get yourself on our radar as well. So if you're a senior, if you have a really good outing at this camp, we're going to offer you to play in the Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game, and some for a 7th and 8th grade game as well.
Right.
So if you're a 7th and 8th grader that's coming off a really good outing at this camp, then we're going to offer you to play in the 7th and 8th grade game. So this is a good opportunity to get your name out there, get on our radar, get yourself in the magazine. It's going to be really good exposure for you, and we send this magazine to all kinds of colleges across the country. So if I were you, if I'm between 7th and 12th grade, is a good way to start off the off season for you to register for this camp at Woodlawn High School. Our first one of 5 or 4. I'm not good at math, but Gridiron Football coming up. So it's going to be a good opportunity for guys to showcase what they really have in store.
Yep, because like you say, man, we're building our database up just like the rest of the sports writers are doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to find those guys that's going to stick out. I know we know some of the guys, everybody have a universal list, but we're trying to find those diamond in the roughs, those guys that need that exposure, that can play on that level, but just may not be, seen yet,
sure.
Or that's trying to get out there. That might have just had a good year this past year, and now they're ready to take that next leap and that next step. And we want to find you. We want to, And we want to be able to, have those guys in our database where when we talking to coaches at colleges or different other sites there where we can mention these guys and when they go and see them, they'll see that there are some players out here.
Yeah, it's all about promoting kids and getting their names out there and helping the next generation or next group of kids coming up. We want to help find the next Ricky Collins or the next Shelton Sampson, the guy that sticks out, the next guy. And there's a chance for you to do that. Starting if you're in 7th grade up until even if you're a senior coming up, is a good opportunity for you to get some more exposure and get your name out there more. So I highly recommend you register right now. You can also register at the gate, but the difference is it's $50 if you are registering pre-registration on our website, gridironfootballusa.com. You go to Elite Camps. You go and then go to the camp that you want to register for. But if you want to pay until the morning of or the day of, then it's going to be $75. So that's just the difference in prices there. Marcus, anything else to cover?
Man, I think that's it, man. I'm looking forward to getting this thing rolling. That's about to be another exciting year, and we already 1 month in. So
that's right.
I'm excited about it, and let's get it rolling.